Commissioner Joseph, officially welcome into the show this morning. Thank you for being here, and thank you for not revealing your spy, because we could all be in. It sounds like you got a lot of them.
Yeah.
So what's you're kind of a newcomer to the St. Johns County Commission. I kind of look at you as the outsider of the group.
I was never a professional politician. I was a mom.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And an author too.
Oh, really?
What
was the book?
Charlie, Don't Be a Hero, after my son, Navy SEAL Charles Keating IV, who was killed in Iraq.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have another Navy SEAL son who made it home safe, so that's
Tough
good.
family, yes.
Mean mom.
Okay.
Mean mom. Is that what it is? They were all like, we would rather be in the military.
Mean mommy, I like it. Oh, that's awesome.
With mom.
They sailed through SEAL training like,
Yeah,
Like,
right?
Oh, yeah, they did, actually.
like you don't know my mom.
Yeah, Charlie was one and done, so he never, he kept going forward. First time, the best time. So.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mean like Joan Crawford mean? Like, are we going Mommy Dearest here?
Depends on
You know
my
you're
mood.
trapped in this refrigerator.
Yeah.
Depends on the spy watch.
Did you have Did you have wire hangers in that house?
Well, I got to say, I'm sorry, and thank you to your son for his service and sacrifice for our country.
Yeah.
So I guess I would have to ask next, what does Memorial Day, what does Memorial Day mean for you these days?
I know everyone celebrates it, has a time out and has a picnic, whatnot. I think it's great, and that's what he died for, is so that we can enjoy that and not be waiting for someone to take a shot, somewhere in wherever there's conflict. But no, I remember him. I have him on my wall.
Yeah.
I fist pound him every morning.
Yeah.
You just don't forget him. Everyone says, "Oh, you'll get over it." No, you think about him every day.
Absolutely. And you see signs and you revel in that moment, and that's what you got to do.
You want to hear one of my signs?
Let me hear.
Okay, so I'll have a tough day and I'll get in the car and his song is Wagon Wheel.
Okay.
And it's the old version as well as Darius Rucker, but if you hear it, you can think of Charlie, because why that is significant is during the grinder, where they'd have to do in SEAL training, BUDS training, they'd have to do this thing called the grinder. It's this big cement slab, and they'd have to do push-ups over and over again. They have to, be wet and sandy, and they'd play the song over and over and over again, just to drive them crazy, for mental, whatever. So it became kind of a funny joke to him. So after he was a SEAL, he'd be at someone's wedding and he'd pay the guy to play the song over and over again.
Really?
And over again on a loop. The bride would not be happy.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that.
So every time I hear it, I laugh.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just got chills.
And I know he's kind of listening, being here.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, Nashville Wagon Wheel is like, have you been to Nashville?
No, but the one band.
Yeah, they play Wagon Wheel almost at every single, and there's like 3 bands at every bar. Yeah. And all of them have a version of Wagon Wheel.
It's awesome.
It's one of those Ring of Fire and Wagon Wheel. You can't walk more than 3 bars without hearing one of those.
I better go there now.
Oh, see, it's a great place to visit.
It's your next vacation. It is a great place to visit.
It's a great place
Don't
to
stay
visit.
there too long.
Yeah.
It's not great to stay there too long. Yeah. So what got you into politics? Why did you feel like you wanted to run for county commission in the first place?
It's an awesome question. So I was between the kids leaving the home, and I still have a senior right now in high school. But I was playing tennis on the women's tennis league, terrible C team. I drove to Julington Creek from Ponte Vedra to play a game, which I lost. And I went over the racetrack road, and everything was gone. There was not a tree. It was like from where I'm from, Arizona. Everything was cleared and gone.
Yeah.
And I went, what is going on? And when I started looking into that, people started saying, you should do something about it. They need a new voice. And I said, what the heck? March 17th, Irish St. Patrick's Day, I said, okay, I'm signing up. My husband was all in.
Cool.
My daughter was all in. I mean, they were so fun. And it was only, March to August. That was it. But I gave it 100%, 150% like my son would. We were everywhere. In the morning, I'd wake up and my husband wouldn't be there. And I'd get a phone call. Oh, your husband's on Racetrack Road holding your signs.
That's awesome.
And I'll be like,
That's huge.
what? So just everybody, and it was a groundswell. People are upset.
Yeah.
And, So I'm here.
That's awesome. That's a great journey.
I'm their voice.
Well, you mentioned kind of the trees, and I think that's fitting. Recently, and I got to tell you, I was not as knowledgeable on this. There were a few folks in comments when we had Commissioner Whitehurst here last time, asking about why they rejected the tree ordinance. And honestly, I hadn't heard anything about this before, so I wasn't knowledgeable enough to ask him about this.
Yeah.
But this was your proposal, correct?
Yes.
So why did you put this forward? And give us some details on this, because again, I'm not as educated as I could be on this.
It's the number one thing I heard every single day of my campaign. I can't stand the clear cutting.
Yeah.
So I actually went and met with some home builders to get their perspective. And of course, it costs money if you don't clear cut. I mean, they want to go in, they want to build the homes, not have to go around trees and whatnot.
Sure.
Like Marsh Landing is great the way they put the homes in the trees. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But it costs money.
Yeah.
So the price of the home goes up. If you can't clear cut. I met with both sides, the environmental side, which was a Jen Lombach, who's like a river keeper, and I met with
Kansas river keeper,
I try to get in the middle ground, which is what my proposal was. So instead of, if you're going to clear cut, you have to keep a bigger buffer. Still look like St. Johns County, have a whole bunch of trees, and then build your site inside that buffer.
Yeah.
I mean, why just clear it all the way to the road and just plant these fake little trees that have nothing to do with our county? Have you seen the little teeny pine trees?
It's happening in my neighborhood,
Right.
so you're preaching to the choir over here. So I
So
see it.
that, and then I found out too, is when you cut down a big tree, they only pay $25 to replace it. That needs to go up to price. Like if you go and cut your tree down and you go to the nursery,
Right.
that tree's $700.
Absolutely.
Right.
So we need to bring that up to the right. So the developer needs to pay. They don't want me to do that because that costs them more money.
Well, of course.
But you know what? I'd like to see a combination of developers getting along and saying, we want to be part of the St. Johns County. We're here so that you like us and we like you, and let's work together. And that's what my proposal was, working together.
Are there like a specific contractors you guys want to work with? Like, is there like a list of things, like checklist of yes, they can work here?
And that's cool because I had a checklist of things that would be approved. I approved a apartment complex off of US 1 because they set it way back. The developer is a very good guy. He's been around forever. He put a huge buffer all the way around it. He's having a high quality, way to enter and all this. And, those things make sense. And if a developer wants to do those things, I'll approve those things. I'm not against growth, but I'm against ruining our county.
Yeah.
And not being in St. Johns County and being in Arizona all of a sudden.
Yeah, totally.
It's not, and then think of all the other things.
We have Spanish moss, what up, tumbleweeds, right?
Yeah. But the water needs somewhere to absorb. We've got animals in all these locations. When they do clear cut, you see the deers running across the road with their lawns, and I mean, it's like really.
Yeah.
I mean, can't we work together?
Is there a balance? Yeah.
There has to be a balance, right?
So this
Failed.
was shot down. This
Big time.
failed.
Yep.
Why? What was the reason that was cited for this?
Because the developers have to pay more.
Oh.
I mean,
and can you tell me the difference between the old tree ordinance and the one you proposed? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with the new one.
Well, it's $25 if you take down a tree that's over 30 inches or 40 inches. A tree that's...
And just for our audience, because people don't really understand, we have what's called a tree bank fund. Okay.
Right.
So the developer has to pay if they cut down and they can't meet the criteria. They can pay into the tree bank fund, and that fund is to help with the county doing stuff like preservation and some of those things. But it sounds like you were trying to beef up what the tree bank fund was and limit some of the other things. But I just didn't know. I'm sorry, I didn't know the difference.
No, but you're exactly
between the
right.
two.
The tree bank fund's great, and you can pull trees from that, and you can also use it as impact, fees or whatnot. But it doesn't matter because people don't want to see it. They don't want to see their county destroyed and becoming just houses without anything around them. I mean, I don't know if you've gone up to Bartram's area, the Bartram northwest part of the county. The houses are next to each other like this, and there's nothing between them. There's not a tree in the front. You're paying a lot of money, and you don't have any landscaping.
Absolutely. And,
I also, when I was speaking to the home builder, he said, we want to go back to having street trees, but there's a huge, the utilities and everything want your front yard. We need to go back to being able to put a tree in the front yard. Mm-hmm. And then like in World Golf Village, if you go in there, there's beautiful lined streets, that have trees in their front yard. I mean, why are we losing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That aesthetic. Yeah.
So is this something that can be brought back?
Absolutely,
If
and
you
I
bring
will.
this back,
Yeah.
would you change it at all to try and make it more palatable and get
Actually,
it passed, or how would that work?
You know, I there is part of it that I would probably take back the first couple of ones out of the 14 points. I do think I think that was too much, but basically the amount of buffers, the amount of the way it looks in our county, keeping it natural, not just plowing them and then replanting.
Yeah.
But by the time they grow to be the size that they were, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's too late.
It's 30 years down the road.
Yeah.
And again, you mentioned you can't buy a tree for $25.
No, and
so.
one of the other developers I talked to said, trees sell homes. So there's got to be a way for them to get there.
Yeah. And we've obviously got to find a balance. I mean,
There you
look,
go. Yeah.
a lot of people say we should stay stuck in the past and never grow, and you just can't do that. You have to evolve. But I think to your point,
that's a
we have
good
to do this responsibly. We have to do this in a way that fits St. John's
But
County.
it's good for our water system too, because that's what absorbs the water and keeps from flooding.
Yeah.
So, instead of just paving over everything, where does that water go?
Right.
I mean,
and some of these trees are huge. So they took
Huge. It's so
been there
sad.
for years.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's
Years.
a big,
Yeah.
a big thing with the flooding. Yeah.
And how do we strike that balance? Because you talked about, the cost to developers, and we talk about it all the time. Developers pass those costs along to the purchaser of the home.
Right.
When they're building roads, all that goes into the price of the house that you are buying in that neighborhood in some way, in some shape or form. So how do we balance that with, having developers pay kind of their fair share, if you will.
Right.
But also making it so that people can still live here. We've got St. John's County, so much of it, as you know, is based off of our hospitality economy, our hospitality workers. And so many people that I know that I'm friends with are saying, we just can't afford to live here anymore. And if that trend continues, what are we going to be doing? What is there to do in St. John's County? So I guess back to my original point, how do we balance that? How do we balance developer costs with not inflating home prices and things like that to an outrageous level?
Well, I mean, doesn't it sound logical to you to leave a giant buffer and go in and then clear cut the inside? I mean, what's the difference between cutting it now or replanting it later? I mean, they're replanting it with cheap trees.
Yeah.
You have these giant trees that are already there, and there's new systems now where you lay down. It's called a geo square. This square thing that continues to keep those trees there without them being destroyed by when they add dirt.
Okay.
Yeah, so
there's
it's a geomatting, and what it
That's
does,
it, yeah.
it allows.
We've actually used it in the county.
Yeah, it allows it to be pervious around it,
Yes.
and it protects the roots around it when you weigh them down.
Nice.
So it kind of keeps the pressure off of the tree.
Is it expensive?
It's expensive, and that's another thing. That
Actually, it's not. It's coming down in price, but the county has used it on a couple of our properties, and the trees are all still there. It's great.
No, it's wonderful
because
for
again,
preserving.
trees add value also to your property.
Yeah. No, and the thing is, and you asked the question from the developer side. I'll talk from that side a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the people that we work with. It's the immediate cost of where you got to get your money back out to, and the easiest thing is to knock over all the trees. One of the things I really pushed for when I was in Parks and Recreation was preservation. Because, there's owner's rights and stuff like that. I would love to see a component. I don't know if it's in your new tree. I apologize.
No, but I'm open for any suggestions, honestly.
I would love to see a preservation portion where when they come in, they know, okay, I'm going to have to preserve this amount, and that way the developers know up front. Because a lot of times you get in there and all of a sudden you get hit with, you go to your development review committee, which is your DRC, you get in there and then they hit you with like 20 different things and you're just like, oh, and it's just piling on top of it. You're trying to do the right thing and keep your product low and affordable, but every time that gets added on, you still have people you have to answer to too. Mm-hmm. So it's a tough balance. But I mean, the one thing when Nocatee was coming through, when it first came through, I fought for those 2,000 acres of
and it's
preservation.
the best, one of the best developed
and
developments.
That preservation was the only thing I could really find from my spot as being something we could save. And if there's a preservation component in there, if we can put that in there,
I'm going to do that. Yeah,
I think that would really get a little more backing behind it. So,
Well, I'm also hoping if there's a new board in November, maybe they'll reconsider it.
Yeah.
So what happens here if you lose? I'm a neophyte when it comes to this. So you lose this bill, right, or whatever, and then are you able to talk to them and say like, "Where's the
No, we
compromise?"
can't. There's a terrible sunshine violation.
Oh, is that okay?
We can't talk to each other unless we're on the dais.
Gosh.
So it's already been
I
a
just
no.
love to know what their hard no is, and like where do you find compromise in those no's to turn it into a yes?
Well, I mean, some are supported by developers.
Yeah.
Would-
Okay.
when they run again or whatever. I mean, I don't know.
Oh wow.
I mean, I'm not a political
Right.
beast.
And me either, so I don't know
just
either.
live here. I want to see it, I don't want to not see growth, but I want to see it kept with the same quality of life that we've had, and your preservation part. Nocatee, perfect example. They have a landing for your kayaks, and you go through a bunch of woods to get there.
Right,
They
yeah.
have trails. Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
I mean, you're here.
Because
and,
it's expensive, is what you're saying.
right, but how much money do you have to make? I mean, can you please the like the resale value in Nocatee is great. I mean, those developers, the Davis family should be proud of what they did there, honestly.
Yeah. So I like the willingness to be open-minded and have a conversation. Like you said, we just talked about the preservation, and like that's a great idea. Maybe I put it in the next one. Yeah,
it will be.
So, what do you think the relationship between the public and commissioners could be? Because I will say, and I'm not singling out the county commission on this, I think people feel this way about all of the commissions in St. Johns County, to where a lot of the times we feel like we're talking at the commission, we're getting no back and forth, and we don't even know if they're paying attention to us or if they're sleeping or playing on their phones. We can't even tell. So should there be more dialogue between commissioners and the public, and what should that look like? How can we do that?
I mean, that's a great point, and there should be more dialogue between the commissioners, but again, we're so, the Florida Sunshine thing was set up for a certain reason, and I think it's just failed miserably. I think you should be able to talk to each other. Things would go better.
Well,
I
that's
think.
what a community is about,
Right.
right?
But I have my phone number. Anytime someone calls, I usually call you back. If you want to come to our meetings at 11:30 sharp at our meetings, and they're every 2 weeks, you can say whatever you want. 3 minutes. You can talk about your child's art contest, or you can talk about the neighbor down the streets, flooding issues, or whatever.
I used to do them for the school district, and I would listen to those school board meetings. So I can. There are some people that get up there and do talk about nonsense.
Yeah.
And then there's some that
But
are there
that's your right.
That's their right.
Yeah, which is great.
Absolutely.
And I think most of our commissioners, if you see them on the sidewalk or out, they'll talk to you. I mean, they're pretty open. I do know that everyone looks at their emails. So if you do email us and you don't get a response, just know we got it.
Yeah.
They stay on top of it. And I have to say, I'm going through these budget hearings with our different, they're called staff, but I call them our team. And it's amazing how much they love the county, and they're working as hard as they can for the county. And they're trying really to do their best. And sometimes you may think they aren't because they get into a fight over a code or something, but they're really trying to follow the rules. But especially the utility department and the road and bridge and the public works department, it's not because of me, but someone called regarding a pothole. That pothole was filled 2 days later. They're very responsive. They have a website where you can take a picture of something, and then you'll see it done a week later. I mean, they do listen, and really we are kind of like a small town county.
Yeah.
We're all accessible. Just call us. And I know some people are afraid of calling, but I'll call you back.
Yeah.
Call me anytime.
There it is.
Great.
Reach
That's
out
great.
and touch. Yeah.
No, that's good. I know something you're really excited about is the improvements going on with the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall.
Yay!
This is going to be huge. Obviously, this is your area up
Yes,
there around
yes.
Ponte Vedra. Are you a big fan of how it was before, and are you looking forward to what we got going on coming up?
The funny thing is, I drive by it and wonder what it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so-
Troy, you did a bad job with that venue. See?
I'm horrible at my job.
So no, and well, I'm caught up in my life too.
Right,
so
right.
how much time do you have to go out at night? I
Were
go
there
to
a
bed
lot of
early.
trees?
Yeah, yes, actually, we're trying to save a few of them right now. As
Okay.
we're remodeling it. Yes.
Okay, great.
Actually, Jerry Wilson just emailed me yesterday going, really, we didn't do the one tree. I'm like, okay. We didn't cut down that tree.
That's great.
No, what's exciting though is we're taking it from maybe just a set up the chairs and listen to a musician to an actual high quality music experience. Awesome. We're putting in some chairs that are there all the time, a balcony, and now we can have acts that really want to come here. And normally they don't want to because it's too small, it doesn't hold enough people. We're having a bigger stage. So I'm from, I went to Aspen a lot, and the Aspen Music Festival. This area reminds me of the same area. The Ponte Vedra Beach area is sort of the same feeling of that area. And I could see us in the low times, even in the summer, having a festival. I know it's hot, but something like that could draw a lot of families in times where it's slow. I mean, I can see the future is just being something incredible happening there. And I'm from Crystal River before I was from Arizona, but Crystal River had this, we called it Cracker Canyon, and all the new acts would go there. And I saw the first country acts that are now the stars at this canyon.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm thinking, that this kind of a Ponte Vedra concert
it's like
hall.
a rite of passage. It could be like, we could find the nest
and
Adele or something.
And the way the AMP runs their whole music scene, which you probably know, is they really cater to the musician, and they really look forward to playing with us. And, one of the reasons, I'll tell you the secret, is a washer and dryer.
Really?
And a shower.
We've had them the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Because they don't have anywhere to take a break in their tour.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you have these things that
These
you
amenities,
really need.
yeah,
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I will say I see a lot of performers, both at the concert hall and at the amphitheater, that will be posting on their Twitters or Instagrams or whatever the next day. Unbelievable staff at the St. Augustine Amphitheater.
Great.
They went above and beyond. One of my I will be back. One of my favorite places I've ever done a show.
And they keep it quiet. They keep the lighting outside of it dark so that you have a beautiful experience. And that we're going to do the same thing with the concert hall. I think I'm really excited.
And
That's
the
great.
concert hall, and I don't know if you guys know the history of the concert hall. It came about during the recession, like when we really got hit hard.
Yeah.
We purchased that park, and then that was going to be a community center. And we had regional community centers set up in different parts of the county. All right. When it fell apart and the budget department came to me, and Jesse's still there, so sorry, Jesse, if I'm busting on you a little bit. Love you. He does an amazing job, but it had to be done. So,
he's not a spy, right?
He's not a spy.
No, he's an awesome guy.
Jesse's great.
Yeah.
Jesse's the reason our
he really watches the numbers.
Him and Doug are the reason our county's in such good financial shape.
Yeah.
But they came to me and said, we got to take your community centers. And I was like, okay, give me a little bit in each area so we don't get killed in each of these areas. And one of my solutions was turning the old church into the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall. And I understand the balconies are going in, which was in my original drawings.
Finally.
Because I had balconies, and then I had the upper stage. Because a lot of people don't realize outside the concert hall, it was an old school on the second level.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
So it was a school part on the second level of that church, and there's all that space up there. So I'm so happy that it's one of the things that I was like, like Troy Trail. Everything comes back.
Troy Trail.
Yeah. Everything comes back. But it was like Gabe was talking to me about it, and he's like, I found your old drawings too. And I was like,
Wow. You got to get those. You got to get a copy of those and frame them, man. Come on.
But I mean, I'm so happy Gabe continued, because Gabe was with us when we first did that transition. I think it was in 2000.
Well, and he's born and raised here. I mean, he knows the history of the county.
He's been with me since he was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
This county's named after his family.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, he is the history of this county. Yeah.
Just no apostrophe.
And the right guy for that job, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect fit. So, Commissioner Joseph, is there anything else coming up that you are excited about? Anything you want to talk about that should be on our radar?
Well, I'm excited about the new parks coming. I know, within 2 years, which is crazy, we have a great Parks and Rec department. Some people may have issues with whatever, but overall, it's just really a well-run department. But I'm a track runner. And we need a track that you can get on, and that's not locked. I wish the schools would allow us on the weekends to get on their property, which is one of my things. But no, I'm excited because there's going to be a track. There's going to be a much more amount of fields for lacrosse and soccer. Of course, baseball, softball for girls, lighting in the right places where it's not going to be, hitting the houses. I'm just excited because it's well planned, and we're actually using a planner that plans parks.
Yeah.
And actually, Cornerstone Park in Ponte Vedra has this great slide and kids area. So if you are in the area, the slide's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
shocked you said nothing about pickleball because that is like
Okay.
huge.
Okay. Here
That's
we go.
right. It's the
Here
big
we
thing
go.
now.
Here we go.
Pickleball.
Yes, we are adding pickleball courts all over.
Okay.
And we are keeping tennis. I do like tennis too.
Yeah, me too. I'm more of a tennis. Like,
Me
yeah.
too.
I like that
Yeah.
slow,
Yeah.
I'm not a
Right.
ping pong slash tennis.
Right. It's such a hybrid of that.
But you know what's fun is that when my family comes into town, they can do, like at the yards, they have all those pickleball courts. We can go over there, and even people who've never played before, you can actually have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the good thing about
That's
pickleball.
good. Yeah.
Cool.
Unless you go up against a pickleball person who's.
It's like intense.
Really,
right?
yeah, because there are some that really take it to the high
you're like,
socks and the head bandanas and all that
and
stuff.
you know who those are because they know how to do the score.
Yeah.
Keeping score in pickleball.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
5-1, 2-2.
it's quantum physics to me.
You're like, what?
I was like, who came up with
Yeah.
this? Oh, it was
Why
the guy
can't-
who named the sport after his dog. That's who came up with it.
And what, were they on Shark Tank too?
Yeah.
I mean,
Why can't we just be straightforward with the scoring?
1
And
to
the tennis
2.
too.
Yeah.
Why can't we just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah,
I don't
right.
get it.
I
I
I
don't get
saw
it.
this lady bring all her friends over to show them how to play pickleball, and
Yeah.
they had never played before, and she started with the scoring immediately.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
don't
See,
do
that's
Like,
going to turn
really?
everybody off
Oh, they
immediately.
did. They were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this
Yeah,
isn't
let's not do this.
fun."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll play, but someone else has to keep score.
That's it, right? Yeah, there needs to be an app to keep scoring pickleball,
And
right?
you don't know; they're probably cheating, and you have no
You
idea.
don't know.
I thought I was winning.
Yeah. Like,
You don't even know.
Well, if we were in France, you would be the winner.
there you go.
Yeah, right?
That's like playing with my son. He won every game. Monopoly, sorry, and
Yeah.
I'll
Always.
keep score.
it's cheating, man.
Well, Commissioner Joseph, thank you very much for coming
Oh,
by
you're
and
welcome.
talking
Yeah,
to
what a
us this
great
morning. It was a
guest.
great conversation.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it. Please let us know.
Well,
if,
you know what? I appreciate what you guys do for the community.
Thank you.
A local news, fun
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
Absolutely.
with good questions.
Yeah. We're a little ditzy, but that's what makes us
We
great.
try.
Yeah.
We try. Well, speak for yourself, Davey.
Absolutely. That's my brand,
on.
bro. It's who I am.
Ditzy wing.
Yes, I make Ditzy look fabulous.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're
we
welcome.
appreciate
And
your
hopefully
time.
what stays in, what you did in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Something tells me it's
It never does.
I did that. My money stayed in Vegas.
You're lucky you get to leave before we really get into the weird stuff of Troy's Vegas trip.
Oh, so
Oh
good.
boy! All right, great conversation.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really like the what I heard about the trees, and I hope this gets tweaked a little bit, and that commissioners reconsider this because it sounds really good, and
I'm
it
glad to
seems
have the
like a lot of people are behind this.
Yeah. It's a great
A
conversation.
lot of people in our comments were asking about it last time. And why did that get overturned? And so, good stuff. All right. Let's see. Before we get to Troy's Vegas trip, which is about all we'll have time for for the rest of the day. Troy's excited about this.
Oh, yeah. Getting ready.